For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a video review on a new awning from Vango. So here today I've got the Vango Arden Tailgate. So the Arden, even though it's called necessarily a tailgate, it can be used kind of eventually on the side of a van as well as also on a tailgate. And it's a little bit different really because it's really quite nice and versatile in what it can fit. So currently, as you can see now, I've got on an SUV and it will fit on the rear of like a camper van or something in that kind of low category. But there's a lot more flexibility on kind of how wide it attaches when it's on the vehicle. So what we're going to do is finish out this video is just kind of give you a bit more insight into every little feature about it and the wide range it fits, as well as looking at how it fits on a vehicle as well. So start with the actual awning itself. So again, it's a fixed awning, so static awning. So if you were to drive away, you would have to physically take the whole thing down and then pack it back up and carry on. So it's something that can be used for a car as well as kind of a camper van if you wanted to, due to the wide range it fits. So in terms of the fabric itself, what we've got here is a 75 denier material, waterproof to 3000mm high stilly head. So again, it's a decent sort of weatherproof fabric. So it's lightweight, it's not too bulky when it's packed away, which means it's great for sort of cars, which are a bit smaller in terms of the amount of space you have left in them. But still, it's got basically Vango's Eco Color system. So this is basically the ability of what they've done is in terms of the dyeing process, they've dyed kind of the yarn before it's woven into the material. The real kind of nuts and bolts of it really is it basically retains its colour for a longer period of time. As the way the kind of the outer coating strips away with the natural sunlight, it means the core colour, which is basically the thread itself, will always look as sharp as it will. So after a few years, it will still should hopefully be as good looking as it was on day one. It's a one fiberglass pole that goes through the front of it. Very easy and simple to pitch. I mean, I took myself best part of sort of about 8-9 minutes to pitch it. Admittedly, it's a bit harder on something like an SUV car than it would be, say, a van, just because there's a little bit more play in terms of the adjustments. Now, the main width of it at the front here is 2.6 meters. When you get to the back, it goes down to 1.9, and naturally sort of funnels in a little bit, so you get a lot more extra space directly at the front. We've got a front door, as we can see it here. Now, there's sort of two panels to the front door, and you can actually open the door from right to left, or left to right, depending on which way you want to go. And again, depends on which setup you want inside. So again, versatility is quite crucial. We've got crystal clear PVC windows in the front. There's also privacy curtains behind that to get the privacy as and when you need it to. That's the same for both panels as such. We've got, like I said, one fiberglass pole, feeds directly through and then goes into a ringing pin system directly at the bottom. Even there's little tabs to help you kind of coordinate what goes where. So what you're looking for is little orange tabs located around it. So you've almost got like 6 main corners, the back two, the front two, and the front two where the poles are as well. So that's kind of how you're pegging it. We've done a separate kind of pitching video showing you how I pitched it on this car, so you can always have a look at that as well. Now, in terms of the fit, there is like I say, a wide range it will fit and different methods you can fit it on. So, for example, if we're looking to fit it onto the rear of the vehicle, what we've got is some straps which will pull the fabric against it, and that obviously pulls against the front pegging points itself. Now, the tunnel width does vary, so there is a clever little system which basically allows you to concertina the width back. So as it stands with no alteration, you're looking at it being about 190 wide, but it can go down as small as 120. Now what you almost have is the same kind of with a driveway awning, you have like the adjustment in the heights that way. You almost have the same kind of webbing strap, there you go, that you can feed through some loops, and that's what basically condenses this extra material down to there, as you can see. So that's kind of folds it in and just keeps it in a nice, neat little tunnel. Now there's different clip points, so you've almost got little threads, little loops that you can basically bring this buckle clip and just feed it directly through each thread. So that's why if you left it untouched, you're looking at a full 190. You obviously go in again, it just makes it a little bit smaller, feed it in again, get a little bit smaller again, and then you can obviously utilize the clip and then adjust that in just to get it all condensed in a small little pocket there. So it's a very clever little system. There's also worth mentioning, if you like the style of this to fit to an SUV, but you want something that's going to be more like a drive away, then there is a driveway tailgate you can look at. Same system, same thing that will fit a VW, like a Ford Custom Transit or a VW T5, T6 on the rear, or failing that, like an SUV vehicle. Now, for pure clarity here, I've got this at the roof bars, which is set here at 110. The minimum width's 120, so that's why you've got a little bit of extra saggage here, because I'm kind of utilising something smaller than actually it would need to be. They do mention there is kind of a height range they want you to fit it in, so it's normally from about 180 to 210. Now, I appreciate this here is lower than 120. So what happens is, if you're lower than it needs to be, then you're going to have to take up the extra slack with the side. And if you're shorter than it needs to be, but the right height, same thing, the extra slack. So there's a little bit of a range it'll fit. It's not going to fit every single vehicle perfectly, because it's a very universal adjustment to it. So it's not. I think it's not going to give you ever a weather tight area. Now, the overall length of it is 2.85 meters. Now, that depends on how that's from this point here to the very front. So the further you go back over your vehicle, the more space you lose at the front. So again, it just makes it easier. And in terms of attaching it, like I said, you can either utilise what I've done here with literally some straps that come supplied with it, basically guiding down the side of the vehicle itself, just pulling that tunnel section as well. There's also Velcro tabs. So what I did as well is I almost Velcro tabs around the roof bars to hold it in position while I do it. You can if you've got a solid roof bar to go along the side. There's no reason why you couldn't actually, probably to be fair, put it on the side of the vehicle. Yeah, you could do actually, if you've got enough room. So you could almost Velcro around the side of the vehicle, come off the vehicle. The fit against the back's not probably as good, if I'm being honest with you, but it is an option you could look at. Whereas there's a sleeve in here, so you can feed a pole through it and then clamp it into like a reamer rail or a gutter rail. So you can look at clamping it in something like that as well. So there's lots of flexibility in there. And then you've got almost like elastic up parts here, just take it up. And I say it's not going to look perfect every single time, but it depends on what vehicle you look at putting at. So one thing we've also got in terms of actually on the front door itself is a full frontal mesh door. So as mentioned, we can roll this door from right to left or left to right, depending on how we want to do it. There is a toggle point in centrally to sort of hold that back at bay. Failing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unzip it, and we can kind of roll it fully to the side, but for the time being I'm going to be a bit lazy, so apologies. And I'm just going to fold it and tuck it in the corner down here at the bottom. And then we're just going to put that down like so. Because then here you've got your full frontal mesh. So again, if you're sort of doing car camping and wanted to keep the tailgate open, for example, but still wanted that airflow or light on the side, you've got that full frontal mesh section, which you obviously can take advantage of. Now, when we come inside it itself, again, we can more than happily roll that back. That'll toggle back like so. And then we've got a entrance door. So there is a ground sheet that comes supplied with it as standard. Now, the ground sheet is quite clever in the way that it fits the width perfectly fine, but there's little toggle points as you go further back. So the further back you have the ground sheet, you untoggle it and fold it back on itself. In fact, let's bring the camera around actually, just to get a bit more of a better understanding of this. So if we look at kind of in here, so like I said, the ground sheet is detachable, so it's literally clipped in the two corners and clipped to the back, and then there's also little toggle points down the side. You've got enough room here because the pole at the front is actually taller than the main height of the height on this case of the van. It means we can actually open the boot, albeit at the amount of crap in here, but it means you've still got an area to sit. So you've got somewhere in the vehicle itself, you've got your little space sheltered. So I know people like to use sort of little market stalls and things like that. I think again you could look to utilise something like that as well. But especially when you've got the windows at the front, you've still got light coming in. So there are, like I said, toggle privacy curtains that just toggle down the side. Other things you have in here as well is the Vango's TBS system. So it's a tension band system, basically give you a bit of additional extra stability and basically creates a triangle formation with the top out to the sides. So it's only really certain wind, so you've got wind coming from that direction, for example, that flexes and keeps that pole nice and solid. So again, something they use in their kind of high-end backpacking tents, so you can filter down into anything else as well. Now, for me, if it's a nice day, then yeah, I think there is definitely a good point of having the ground sheet down. If it's sort of chucking down with rain and you're going to be in and out the front door quite a bit, then personally I probably would almost refrain from using it. It comes supplied with it as standard, so you get that regardless, but at least you've got the flexibility to kind of do what you want it to do. There's also, Vango have got their sort of SkyTrack system, so it's a little beading that runs around the top edge of here, that you can actually use clips to hang things like a lantern, or if you want little storage organisers, or just run like a lighting system around the top of the ridge. So again, you've got the usability of that as well. Let's come inside actually, a bit up close, and see some of these things in a bit more detail. So we look at the fit to start with. You see probably how much it kind of goes over the vehicle. Like I'm almost about the rear tyre there, I've sort of come across that, but you can see the additional height. Admittedly, I've got the tailgate up itself. We've got high visibility guidelines as well, just to kind of make it a bit more structurally stable, but also gives it a little bit more illumination. And then we've got the pegging points, so you can see where it fits there. In terms of the actual clip system itself, so this is how it sort of runs. So we've got, that's the a full whack. When you kind of expand it out, you've got these little loops. So this is what's actually you feeding it through and taking it up. So if, for example, you wanted it wider, you would just basically go through one of those loops and not the final one. So this is actually the part that condenses it and makes, rather than making it as wide as say some of that, it sort of pulls it in and keeps it all neat and tidy. Now you do get a gatherer fabric here, but that's really, it's all about, you're never going to get it perfectly weather tight because it is, like I said, a very universal part. We've got the Velcro tabs, which you can obviously go onto the roof bars itself, and there's also a sleeve located there, which you can put a pole directly into and clamp that into your gutter. But I've just found that, just gone and put straps on the front. Now you typically get kind of two kind of straps, so you get a 8-meter straps, which are quite long, which is the ones I've used, but there are some small ones you can get. As we come into the vehicle, you see it's not going to be the perfect fit in terms of fitting around the vehicle itself, just because you've gone from quite a wide point to a small point. But you've got the ground sheet, as you can see, situated in here. Works really well, and then it toggles and clips in the corners. So it clips nicely there, and then there's a toggle point there, and then again there, and it goes back. So like I said, you can see how I folded, even though the actual point goes right to the back up here. What I've done is just folded the fabric over, so it's not gone further back, you see. So it just sits there, gone by the side of the wheel. You've still got some sort of ground sheet quite nice and neatly. But if you were, say, for example, that's mainly because I've got such an overlap up on the side part. But as you can see, and we've got also, that works nicely. You can see there's a little bit of a clearance above it, but even so, it still enables you to sort of sit quite nice and neatly in your vehicle. And then you still have got a view out. And we've got our lovely PVC windows, and then we've got the curtains just to get that privacy we wanted to. The SkyTrack system located at the top here, so it's kind of, it's not brilliant with the light, but you can see that little bit of beading just there. So that is actually what you would then use as little clips to go directly onto that as and when you need to. But the fine kind of mesh at the front can just kind of keeps a good amount of airflow into the awning itself and keep it looking. So yeah, like I said, in terms of fit, I'm quite generally surprised on how well. Bear in mind, what we're looking at currently is actually something on the lower end. In theory, this is actually lower than it should be going. So I've kind of not took a punt, but I kind of have in a way of trying to push the boundaries of what it should be fitting. And I don't think, to be fair, that's not too bad at all. Actually, we'll have a look at it now when it looks like on the side of the vehicle, just to give you a bit of an idea. So what I've done is put on the side of a Ford Custom Transit, just to give you a bit of a better understanding of what it looks like. So you see how it's a little bit different, because we're going directly on the side of the vehicle, it comes a bit further out. That's where I think you don't appreciate the full depth of the awning when you have it on the rear like this and have to put it a bit further back. I mean, in theory, I probably could be a little bit less far back if I wanted to, but no. So I think on the Arden ticks a nice big box. We do get a lot more inquiries for kind of SUV, something that's going to fit an SUV as well as a camper van, and tailgate awnings are coming a bit more popular every now and again. It's the only thing you've got to consider, also pitch space when you're on site. I would say if you have got sort of barn doors rather than a tail lift, it will still fit. You just got to be a bit careful when you're kind of opening and closing the barn doors that you're not going to snag the top. Now, all I would really do is kind of basically push the fabric up when you open it, just to make sure that it's not, and maybe put a bit of foam padding or something on it just to make sure it's not going to rub. But there's no reason why you can't use something like this, because there is a high range of things that obviously will fit higher and wider if you really want to. I'm just using the sort of the bottom end spectrum. But by all means, let us know what you think of the Arden. It's one model we're certainly have up on display at our indoor showroom, so by all means come and check it out at our shop in Gloucestershire. But if you want any more questions or queries or want to see how I put it up, check out our YouTube channel for that, of course, and we always like to have feedback from you, so feel free to comment in the box below. But in all, that's kind of our little video review on the brand new Vango Arden Tailgate Hub. Hope it's been helpful, and we look forward to seeing you again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors video review.